Hi, today we're going to learn how to use VPN to stay secure and private online. Wow, this is a tough job. Just kidding. When you use NordVPN, all it takes is just a single click. See for yourself. Click, and you're browsing securely on public Wi-Fi. Click, your ISP can't see what you do online. Click, and you're in a different country. Well, virtually. Any device you have there, NordVPN has you covered. Everything else is just details. But if you care to know more, NordVPN has more than 5,000 servers all over the world. It protects your sensitive data with advanced encryption, shields you from malware and phishing sites, and keeps no logs of your online activity.
Click link in the description and get 68% discount for your first order. Patching holes in art canvas. Lay the torn canvas face down and smooth out the frayed edges. Prepare a clean, flat surface before laying your canvas down to protect the artwork itself. Adjust the edges of the hole so that the loose fibers are facing the back side. Groom these carefully so that they lie flat on the back side of the canvas. If these raw edges are left unattended, you might end up with a bumpy or frayed section on the front of the canvas. Cut a patch measuring larger than the hole out of similar canvas. Try to match the weight and fiber content as closely as possible. If the canvas has exposed raw edges where it's been stapled onto on the back side of the frame, use the thickness and texture of these raw edges for reference. Cut a rectangular patch measuring roughly 1 in 2.5 cm larger on all sides than the hole. If the original is a medium-weight linen canvas, for example, look for a linen canvas of a similar weight. If you're not sure about the weight and fiber content of the canvas, bring the painting into an art supply store and ask a sales agent to help you find a suitable match. For a 2 in 5.1 cm long rip with no real width, cut a patch measuring about 4 in 10 cm long by 2 in 5.1 cm wide. You'd widen the patch if the damaged area was more of an open hole than a narrow rip. Apply PVA glue to the canvas patch. It's important to use acid-free adhesive to prevent damage to the artwork. Spread a dollop of PVA glue around the back surface of the patch. Use an old brush or your fingertips to smooth it out in an even layer. If you prefer, you can use an iron-on adhesive strip instead of glue. Cut the thermoplastic material down to the size of the patch and iron it onto the patch. Remove the backing and then iron it onto the back side of the artwork, using a press cloth to prevent the art canvas from scorching. Press the patch glue side down onto the hole. Once your patch is covered with a layer of PVA glue, place it over the back side of the hole, centering it over the hole. Press it down firmly on all sides. Smooth out the patch with your hands to remove any air bubbles. If the original art canvas doesn't meet in the middle and you're left with a hole, place some parchment paper underneath the artwork before gluing down the patch to prevent the glue from sticking to the work surface beneath it. Leave a flat board and wait on top of the patched area for 24 hours. You'll want the glued-on patch to dry as flat as possible, so you'll need to weigh it down. Place a piece of stiff board or a block directly on top of the patched region. Add a weight or heavy book on top to add some additional pressure. Allow the glue to dry for 24 hours before removing the board and weights. Paint over the damaged area on the front of the canvas. Heavy-bodied paints like oils and acrylics will conceal the raw edges on the front of the painting. Using the same type of paint and the same colors, mix together a matching shade and use a brush to carefully paint over the tear. Be patient and build up layers of color gradually. Allow it to dry completely and you shouldn't be able to see the tear from the front of the canvas. Apply the paint in a moderately thick coat, but don't smear it on so thickly that it's noticeably different from the rest of the artwork. Patching tears in outdoor canvas. Determine whether the canvas is synthetic or natural with a burn test. Find out whether your canvas is made of synthetic or natural fibers by reading the label or manufacturer's guide, or by doing a simple burn test. Cut off a small fiber from the damaged area and pick it up with metal tweezers. Hold it near a lit cigarette lighter or hot soldering iron. If the fiber melts and beads up, it's synthetic. Therefore, it will be safe to seal off the frayed edges with heat. If the fiber becomes ashy and disintegrates, it's a natural fiber like cotton. Avoid bringing the canvas in contact with the lighter flame. The heat alone will melt it. Seal off torn edges in synthetic canvas using a soldering iron or lighter. Synthetic canvas will melt when exposed to heat, preventing it from fraying. Carefully hold the tip of a cigarette lighter or soldering iron at the torn edge without actually bringing the flame in contact with the fabric. Wait a few seconds until the canvas starts to melt from the heat. Then slowly move along the tier to seal off all of the raw edges. Be very careful not to light the canvas on fire and cause bigger repair problems. Use clear nail polish or fray check to seal the raw edges of natural canvas. If you're repairing canvas made of a natural fiber, apply a single coat of clear nail polish or fray check around the raw edges to seal them off. Allow the sealant to dry completely before adding the patch. The heat sealing method doesn't work on cotton, linen, and other natural canvases since the fibers will disintegrate when exposed to the flame. Pin a canvas patch behind the tier. You can purchase a canvas repair kit for your project or order a sufficient length of outdoor canvas online from a specialty manufacturer. Cut out a patch that measures 2 and 5.1 cm wider. Use straight pins to hold the patch in place on the underside of the tier. Choose a canvas in a similar color to the item you're repairing. If you can't get the exact color, choose a darker shade. Lighter patches will be more noticeable. For a tier measuring 5 and 13 cm long by 2 and 5.1 cm wide, cut a 9 and 23 cm by 6 and 15 cm patch. Sew the patch in place using a machine straight stitch. Set your sewing machine up with a heavy-duty needle and durable, UV-resistant thread. Stitch around the perimeter of the patch with a straight stitch, adding back stitches at the beginning end and corners for extra durability. Don't hand sew the patch. It may look untidy and won't be as durable as a machine-sewn hem. Stitch down or darn the ripped edges on the machine. To darn the hole, run a straight stitch in a wide zigzag all the way down the tier on your machine. Alternatively, run a straight stitch around the outside edge of the hole to secure the loose fabric down. This is especially useful if the damaged area features a wide gash or a long cut, and you're left with loose flaps of canvas on top of the patch. When darning synthetic canvas that you've melted the edges of, be very careful as you work over the stiff melted areas. Go slowly or use the hand wheel when you reach these spots to avoid breaking your needle. Fixing other outdoor canvas issues. Place an adhesive canvas patch behind a small hole. Purchase a canvas repair kit or a specialty adhesive canvas patch. Clean off the damaged area with an alcohol wipe to remove any dirt and debris. Then cut the patch down to size, leaving it roughly 1 in 2.5 cm larger than the hole on all sides. Peel off the backing and press the patch onto the canvas, smoothing it out to remove any air bubbles. Any minor puncture or tear measuring less than 1 in 2.5 cm can be repaired with an adhesive patch. For a round 1 in 2.5 cm hole, cut a circular or square patch measuring 3 in 7.6 cm across. The patch should have some stretch so it can move with the canvas. Opt for a clear patch if you can't find one in a matching color. Create a flat felled seam on a sewing machine when repairing a split seam. Set up your machine with a heavy-duty needle and durable, UV-resistant thread. Line up and pin the torn edges with the right sides of the canvas together. Sew a straight stitch, leaving a 5/8 in 1.6 cm seam allowance. Press the seam open with both parts of the seam allowance to one side. Pinch the seam allowance edges and fold them underneath themselves so that the raw edges touch the stitches you just made. Pin or press these in place. Then run 1 or 2 straight stitches over the seam allowance. A flat felled type of seam is effective because the raw edges in the first seam lines are protected from exposure to the elements. It's very important to use a durable needle and slow sewing speed since you'll be going over 5 layers of fabric for the finishing stitches. Hire a professional to replace cloudy or discolored vinyl windows in the canvas. If the vinyl panels in your boat cover or camping tent have deteriorated, know that you don't need to replace the entire canvas. Sewing on a new piece of vinyl requires an industrial sewing machine and heavy-duty supplies, so for the best results, contact your local boating repair shop and ask if they can make this repair for you. Getting vinyl windows replaced could save you about 70% over purchasing new canvas covers. Even if you notice a split in the seam between the vinyl window and the canvas, take it to a professional since the material will be too tough for a home sewing machine to handle.